Pass the cranberry sauce. We're having mashed potatoes. Ooh, the turkey looks great. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for being there. Thank you for loving me. The whole world's thanking you. Thanking us for thanking you. Kill the turkey. And welcome back to another episode of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ Powers, here with my co-host,
Paul, as usual. And this is going to be a hellish episode.
Yes, it absolutely will be, because Paul is determined that I cannot make him laugh, even though he's already laughed once.
I have not laughed.
Yes, you did.
Like I said, if the camera's not on, it does not matter.
Yes, you just laughed right now.
That wasn't a laugh!
Yes, it was. I heard you.
I did not laugh.
You would...
No, that doesn't count. No.
Yes, play it back.
That was not a laugh, and I'm standing by that. Okay, so let's explain why we're arguing about this right now, and then it can officially start. And anytime you make me...
Oh my god, this is like the third time you have moved the starting line.
Okay, well, it's going to officially start now. Not now.
No, you said, I got here. No. And I'm going to die on this hill. I am going to die on this hill.
Guys.
I got here, and you laughed at something I said, and I said, that's a laugh. And you said, it does not start until the camera turns on. And I said, fine. Even though you never said that, and now it's on, and you've laughed twice now. And you're like, no, we're not starting yet.
Both those times I made myself laugh. Now, please explain why we're arguing so the people aren't... Why are Paul and DJ arguing?
Because Paul had this absolutely ridiculous idea.
Yes.
Because I said that I wanted to order chicken for dinner.
Yes.
And he said, if you make me laugh 5 times during the episode on Saturday, we can order chicken. If not, you have to cook for me.
Exactly.
And what Paul doesn't realize is that I'm going to cook for him either way, just because I love him and I love that he loves my cooking. But he's like taking this so seriously. He's cheating.
I am not cheating. One thing about me is I was never a cheater, and I never will be a cheater. And...
That's not what your last 3 ex-boyfriends said.
You know I don't have that many exes. No. Okay, there's one laugh. DJ's gotta laugh. Wait, do I mark that down as me laughing or you laughing? Oh, and also, DJ doesn't know what he's cooking for me yet. Okay, the rules is if DJ makes me laugh 5 times he has to cook for me. But...
No!
What?
It was, I cook for you tonight, not 5 times I have to cook for you.
No, if you make me laugh 5 times.
Oh, okay.
If you make me laugh 5 times, he has to cook for me. And if I make him laugh 10 times, he owes me $20.
No.
Yeah.
We never agreed to that.
He owes me $20, and then he has to drive me around the rest of the month.
No, we never agreed to this. Okay. Okay.
All right. So, we are in the thralls of competition, everyone, on a very special Thanksgiving showdown episode of Crips
Because
and
we
Corks.
thought, with how the election turned out, you're all going to have a terrible Thanksgiving anyways. Why not just prolong the agony?
Yes. On this very special Throwdown Thanksgiving here with Crips and Corks on our Thanksgiving episode.
Paul, how was your week?
My week, shitty, but I have a lot to talk about for Paul's Celebrity Corner or...
Pop Culture Corner. Jesus
Girl,
H. Christ, Paul. Do it right if you're gonna do it.
You've got me all flustered, all sorts of flustered today. I don't have anything to talk about my week. It's all you. How was your week, DJ?
It was a hell of a week.
Exactly.
We are not gonna rehash the election results here on the podcast, but we record ahead of time and we're in the immediate aftermath. So it did not go as we had hoped, and we're not going to get into it. That's all we're going to say on it. And we'll talk about action plans later. Although I already did have somebody in a Target look at me and say, die
Someone said that to you?
Yeah, because they cut me off with their cart.
Like, that happened today?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy.
They like stepped in front of me with the cart and I went, oh, excuse me. And they went, die.
That's insane. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay. I pushed her over.
Bitch, I'm sure you did.
I did. I pushed her over and I ran.
Okay, Samantha. Alright, I'm sure. Are you ready for Paul's Pop Culture Corner?
If you count that as a laugh.
Sure, I'll count that as a laugh. We're up to 2 laughs. Wait. Okay, yes. Okay, we're up to 2 laughs. Okay. So, we have to talk. There are some updates on one of the previous Pop Culture Corners that we have discussed, y'all. The Brianna chicken fry story is continuing. And believe it or not, Zach Bryan has offered Brianna's chicken fry $12 million to not talk about how abusive he was in their relationship.
Oh.
She, of course, did not take the money. And
well,
she is talking about all the things he's done to her, all the yelling and things, basic abusive relationship stuff. And David Portnoy is getting in on it, and they're talking about it on the podcast. David Portnoy actually made a song about him. I think it goes something like, Brie, I'm glad you're done with what's ZB and his STDs. Yeah.
Not out of here.
Now, don't worry, because Zach Bryan's team took that off Spotify, I think, because he has connections with record labels or something. Because he's a big country music star. So they were able to get that song taken off Spotify and YouTube and things. So that's kind of sad. I wish they would have kept it up because it's kind of funny, honestly. Another thing, so she was talking about all the things he was doing to her, and apparently every time she would sing one of Morgan Wallen's songs, he would yell at her and tell her not to sing it because Morgan Wallen sells more than he does. He would get upset every time she would sing one of Morgan Wallen's songs.
See, that doesn't sit well with me because there's just such a hatred of successful women.
Right.
Like that permeates society.
Well, he wasn't angry that she was successful. He was angry that she was singing about a song by someone who is more successful than he is.
Yes, but I mean, I think I'm inferring that it goes to he's somehow, some way, consciously or subconsciously, upset with Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
For being, he's angry at his girlfriend for singing somebody's song who's more successful than he is.
Yes.
And you're not upset about that unless you are also upset with that person who's more successful than you. And I mean, maybe I'm only getting half the story. I mean, she could sing another male country music star's music who's more successful than him, and he could get upset too. But I mean, there's just this hatred around successful women that, I don't understand. Why is it such... When did it become cool to hate on successful women?
I don't know. And it's not just men that do it too. There are women who very much feel threatened by other successful women.
And it's amazing because I'm not going to name them or identify how I know them.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a woman who was fairly successful. She, in a time when women were not management, became very high up management and became very successful. And now, and you would think that would make her seeing women go farther today, she'd be all for it. But she's very much no, I don't like her. She seems pushy. She seems bossy. She seems aggressive. And it's well, she's just as far as you went. Were you pushy or bossy or aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you just do it well?
I don't know. I didn't follow a lot of that story. I'm not going to lie to you.
This woman who was successful in her own field, and she has since retired, now sees other successful women. She goes, oh, she must be really pushy and aggressive and bossy to get to that spot. And it's she's in the same spot that you occupied.
Right.
And were you pushy and bossy and aggressive?
Right. And it's along the same lines of when a woman gets something, people say oh, who did she have to sleep with? Who did she sleep with to get there or whatever?
And this is one of the biggest trigger words in careers, ambition. If a man is ambitious, that's a good trigger.
Right.
But if a woman's ambitious, because think about it, it's Paul, he's ambitious. He's going places. You never hear Diane, she's ambitious. She's going places. There's Diane. She's ambitious.
Yeah, yeah, or they use other terms other than ambitious.
I would argue that ambitious has become a code word for bitch or see you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Because you will hear people in the workplace go, well, Diane, she's ambitious.
Yeah, very that. We gotta circle back around to Brianna, yes. Our good girl.
But also, one more thing, and I don't like country music. I've stated this before. It's not my cup of tea. But also, I'm really not liking it all the more because of, like, the community is so close-minded. Like, the way they rejected Beyonce wanting to do a country music album.
Mm-hmm.
And how, like, she performed at the CMAs and they didn't boo her, but, like, she faced such backlash from the country music
industry.
Yeah. And she did this album, and it's like, well, this isn't real country music. Beyonce's not a country music singer.
Right.
And it's like, and now, like, hearing about Zach Bryan, like, this, like, side of him, it's just like, this is just a really insidious community.
I don't think they're all insidious, though. I think there are some really good people in the country music industry who have a good head on their shoulders. Kelsey Ballerini. Kelsey Ballerini.
Yes. Like I said, I don't mean to paint with a wide brush.
Yeah.
But I'm just hearing a lot.
You like it wide.
That's emphatically not true. That's emphatically not true, Paul. I like it long and thick. Get it right.
And we are, of course, talking about our Jimmy Jong suborder.
Of course.
Exactly. Now, back to one more story that Brianna Chicken Fry has graced us about Zach Bryan. So, apparently, 1 year for her birthday, Zach Bryan had bought them a house up in New Hampshire, I think it was, for her birthday, and he was touring it.
How long were they dating?
By bought him a house, I meant he rented it for a weekend.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he did buy her a house that she is now moving out of.
Okay.
But he just rented it for her for the weekend.
Because I thought this was like a little 6-month fling.
No, they've been dating for a long time.
Oh, okay.
They've been together for a long time. And so he bought her this house for the weekend. And it was her birthday, rented the house. And he was on tour at the time. And he kept, like, saying, like, oh, I can't believe I have to leave tour to come here for your birthday and stuff. Just trying to make her feel bad about him buying the house.
Renting.
Wait, what?
Renting,
yes.
Renting.
Whatever. Rent, buy. I know they're two very different things. But I don't know why I keep saying that.
Still, like,
It's crazy. And people are saying David Portnoy gave Brianna Chicken Fry half the money so she didn't keep quiet about it. So he could talk about it on her podcast, like, and get all the money and views from it. Which I wouldn't be surprised. But also, Zach Bryan had a lot of girlfriends before this. And people are saying that those girlfriends might have taken that money. And that's why people haven't come out about Zach Bryan like this before, because those girls took the money that Brianna Chicken Fry did not take.
It's amazing that in, like, a post-Me Too world, and I mean, they could be pre-Me Too, but, like, if I was dating a celebrity and they did something awful, and especially, like, I mean, you've seen it time and time again where celebrities break up and one of them, it doesn't matter, male, female, whatever, gets painted by the other group's fan, like, with this, like, terrible, like, they're a terrible person, da-da-da. Like, you could not pay me enough to keep quiet on the abuse that I went through.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's exactly how Brianna felt.
And I am not a vengeful person, but if you are an abusive and toxic POS, I'm outing you. And I'm going to take you down. And I'm not doing it to get back at you. I'm doing it to protect other people from you.
Exactly. We're doing it to protect other people from people who might experience it in the future but might not know, like, what they're getting into fully, you know?
And here's the thing. When you out somebody like that to protect other people, it's on. Like, if I told you, like, if you said, oh, this guy at the bar is cute, and I said, oh, no, I dated him, he's a POS, piece of shit. He made me pay for the meal after he promised to. He was rude to the waiter. He said that he was going to get an Uber, but he had the Uber take us to his house.
He's a bad person, yes.
Yes. And you said, never mind. Okay, I told you. Right. It's on you, but I did all I could.
Exactly. That's a very good point, and I completely agree with that. But that's Brianna Chicken Fry's story, and we gotta move on to the paranormal shit. What are we drinking today?
Why do you do this?
What?
Get me started.
Girl, you were on your soapbox for a good while there.
I know. You do that every time.
I did.
You should know what. You should know what triggers me.
Honestly, at this point, I should.
Shame on you.
Do we need the wine opener?
Yes,
I forgot
we do.
to get the wine opener out. Give me 1 second, y'all.
Absolutely, and I'll add the third laugh to the list.
Oh shit! God damn it! We're gonna eat freaking. Wait, I didn't even tell you what you're going to make. So tonight, you will be making homemade lasagna. Because I have never once had homemade lasagna. You know, anytime I would ask my mother for homemade lasagna, she would just beat me with a sock of pennies. Because we were too poor to have stocks of quarters, so she had to use pennies. So tonight I'm gonna.
Speaking of, I actually have 2 quarters for you. Once we get off.
Period. I love quarters. Now, sorry, Mom. My mom actually did make me a lot of lasagna. She's gonna be so mad when she hears that.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
But
that count does not laugh because you made it yourself. Before we get into the wine, I just have one thing to say to you.
Yeah.
I will gladly make you lasagna. Not tonight, because making lasagna takes hours.
Wait.
We're not, like, if you want lasagna by the time we get out of here and get to the store to get everything, you will be eating at midnight.
Oh, I didn't know it took that long.
Yes.
Jeez, usually, Well, the more you know.
Let's drink, because I'm going to need to drink while I explain cooking to Paul after this. We are drinking. This is from Lodi Winery. It is Predator, a Loveliness Sauvignon Blanc. What do you call a group of lucky ladybugs? A loveliness, of course. These natural predators are not only beautiful, but also social. That is why we have named our Sauvignon Blanc after these groups of farmers' friends. Perfectly balanced on the palate with a bright acidity, this wine is perfect to share with the table of those who enjoy spending time with the most.
Ooh, a Sauvignon Blanc. I almost said Sauvignon. I don't even know what Sauvignon is. Ooh,
oh, thank God it worked.
That one had a pop, girl.
It did have a pop. But for a second there, I was like, what happens if it's just spinning in the cork and destroying it?
I know the Sauvignon Blanc is about to make me feel alive. I'm just going to keep calling it the wrong name.
I know. Every time you say it, the 2 words get shorter.
We haven't done a white in a while.
No, I purposely looked for a white.
It smells good. She smells good, guys. Cheers. Okay. She's dry. Oh, honey. That's one of those dirty dishwater wines, honey. Oh.
I think you need to get yourself checked.
That gets a 1 grape. That is not good wine. I do not like that.
I think it's delightful.
Well, how many grapes do you give it?
I give it like 4.
4. Girl, if you like dirty dishwater wine, this is your girl.
You say this every time we have Sauvignon Blanc. And every time you smell it, you go, this smells wonderful. And then you taste and you call it dirty dishwasher.
Yeah, maybe I just don't like Samantha Black wine. Whoops. Girl, get that cork out. Yes.
I don't know why it was so important to me to get the cork out, but
Predator.
Suddenly,
meow. She's fierce.
Kind of like you and that
purr.
Kind of like you and that leopard print unitard you tried wearing to the club.
I don't even own a leopard print unitard.
You have a leopard print something that you really tried to make work.
No, I don't. You're going to have to show me that, because
I'm going to have to go through your closet, and I will find it. Because you try to... Every time you've asked me...
The lies and deceit on this podcast.
You've tried to wear it out, and every time I go, no.
Lies and deceit.
It's like a t-shirt or a shirt or something.
That's not once happened.
All right, Paul. Let me tell you a story.
All right.
Home is meant to be a place of safety and refuge. But one man's dream home for him and his children soon became a waking nightmare, which continues to haunt him to this day. Especially after a chance introduction takes him back into the middle of it all. Will he be able to escape it, or will he be sucked back into it and lose his life and soul to whatever darkness has claimed this house as its own? Today we're discussing the Union, Missouri Screaming House.
Okay, that sounds spooky.
It is very spooky.
This is fun. So he makes it out of the house, but then gets drawn back?
Yes. So, before I get into the rest of the story, I do have some trigger warnings.
Okay.
This story does contain mentions of sexual assault, suicide, guns, and slavery.
Okay.
And animal slaughter.
Oh, can't forget that one.
So, the story begins with Stephen LaChance, a single father, and his 3 children, Eliza, 13, Eli, 12, and Elliot, 11.
Eliza. And Peggy. The Schuyler sisters.
The LaChance siblings.
Oh, that's a laugh for me.
Since when are you cutting my laughs?
When I told you that you owe me $20.
Okay, since it means so much to you. So in 1995, his wife left him saying she had never wanted children and was tired of being a mother.
Me too. Honestly, relatable.
You are a mother.
I'm a mother of many.
I was going to say fucker, but okay.
Wow! More abuse on the pod today. Okay, we're at 4 left. You got me there.
He soon discovered that his wife had not paid any of the household bills for months, and he and his children were on the verge of being evicted from their apartment. So for the next couple of years, Stephen's children bounced from rental to rental, trying to find space, and it was always these really small 2 or 3 bedroom apartments where they were all stacked on top of one another. In May of 2001, he found himself really desperate because the lease on his current apartment was up, and he went through the local newspaper responding to every single ad for rentals there. And one evening, he received a call back from a man named Carl Winters. Carl told him about the place that he's renting, which was a large old house that was in perfect shape in Union, Missouri, which is a small town about 50 miles south of St. Louis.
Oh, okay, cool.
And as part of the conversation, Winters invited him to an open house that he was hosting the next day. Stephen went with his daughter and instantly fell in love with the large home, which would have more than enough room for him and his children. It had all of its original woodwork intact. It had 3 bedrooms on the second floor and a nice open hallway. It had a bedroom on the first floor, as well as a large living room and family room, a large kitchen. And it did have some quirks because it was an older house, such as the shower. It had a fruit cellar, and a basement had a fruit cellar and a butcher shower.
A butcher shower? That's spooky.
And Carl did tell them that back when the house was part of a farm, the men who had slaughtered the sheep would come in and shower there.
Okay, so it's not an actual shower for the meat. It's a shower for the people after they slaughter the meat.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And I do want to note, too, this is how it always happens. They go and they find their perfect dream home, and then boom, haunted.
It's very Amityville.
It's very much giving that. Also, last side note, I love when people from Missouri say Missouri. I think that's so cool. I love when people say Missouri.
I don't know her, but I do know Mezuzah.
Say her one more time?
Mezuzah.
Okay, that sounds like a slur. You better be careful
with
that
one. It is not
one.
a slur in Jewish culture. It is this little wall plaque with a prayer inscribed on it, and you keep a copy of the Torah in it, and you put it on your door, and it blesses the house.
Oh, that's actually kind of cute. Mm-hmm. I like that. That's actually kind of cute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's very cute. Now, Stephen could not believe the incredible steal that this was, that he was going to get so much house, this whole house, and a yard for the price being offered, because he was paying like what he paid for like a 2-3 bedroom apartment.
Well, like they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
So he goes up to Carl and he says, like, I really want it. I want to apply, like, fill in an application right now. And Carl turned to him and said, do you understand the responsibility of living in an old house like this one? Stephen was confused and answered that he did, that it was absolutely beautiful and that he would take wonderful care of it. Carl gave him the application and then said, I'll be in touch. About a week later, Winters called Stephen back to excitedly inform him that he got the house and asked him to meet at a local restaurant to sign the paperwork, not at the house, which is odd.
Okay, that's happened to me before. I remember one time when my parents bought a house, they actually went to the real estate agent's house to sign the paperwork. So, like...
Okay, that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But, or to go to an office, but to go to a third-party place?
I don't know. Maybe it is weird. I don't know. I've never bought a house before, so maybe it is weird.
Well, he's not buying it. He's renting it.
Oh, he's renting. Interesting.
I know you get really confused between buying and
renting.
renting.
It's a hard concept for me to comprehend.
Now, Stephen thought this was extremely odd and was a little like, low-key annoyed. Like, not enough to, like, raise a fuss. But he just loved the house so much, he wanted to go through and walk through it again. Like, by himself without any other people. Later on, Winters would take him on another walk through the house. During the walkthrough, he asked Stephen if he believed in ghosts, but then said there weren't any in this house.
Then why do you ask, bitch?
And then he did say, I will be leaving the property well before sundown.
Red flags everywhere.
I mean, with the number of red flags that Carl is showing, I should, like, be in love with him.
Honestly, at this point, girl, honestly, same though. The way I walk through the valley of red flags and don't bat an eyelash is crazy.
Whoops.
I think we both do that sometimes, though. Yeah, we ignore the red flags and we just keep marching on.
The last guy that I seriously talked to who, like, left me on red for 3 weeks, and it was like, it's fine. He's busy. He's busy. He's in med school. Like, he'll get back to me.
Very that. We'll make every excuse in the book for a man. It's
and then
crazy.
I was like, the scholastic year is over. Can I see more of you? And it's like, that's not how med school works. And I was like, oh, silly me.
Right. LOL, my bad.
In the lead up to the move-in, the LaChances began to have some odd experiences in their old apartment. Eliza woke up to find her Aunt Jan, who had recently died, standing in her closet in a long, flowing dress.
Did they find her standing up?
No, like her ghost.
Oh, her ghost.
And all I have to say is, Aunt Jan, it's fine. You're dead. You can come out now. Come out of the closet. Well, maybe not. We don't know what's going on. Maybe stay in that closet. Aunt Jan might have the right thought.
Okay, alright. I don't get that joke, so we're just gonna keep marching on.
She was in the closet.
Yeah, so she came out. Yeah. Gay. Lesbian. Well, I guess she's lesbian.
Oh my god.
Unless she's, like, coming out as, like, something else.
No, I'm saying Aunt Jan come out of the closet. It's okay.
It is okay, Aunt Jan.
And then I said, well, maybe not. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe she has the right idea.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It's not nearly as funny when I have to explain it all. Please leave in the comments if you got it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
One of his sons saw the shadow of a man standing in his room. After Stephen had investigated and found no one in the apartment, he too saw the same shadow run across the living room, but cracked it up to a hallucination.
It's not a hallucination, girl. If someone else saw it.
That same night, Stephen woke up paralyzed and heard somebody hissing, "Look at me! Look at me! I know you want to look at me!"
That was just me.
Well, probably because he finally opened his eyes to see the horrifying image of a demonic Jesus with glowing white eyes.
Okay, that's weird. I don't know how to feel about that. That's weird. You have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
I was just waiting for you. I was waiting for you to walk back when I said look at me and you were like, that was just me. And then I described demonic Jesus and you just went, nah.
Hey, I stand by that shit. One thing about me is I'll stand by it.
As somebody who has slept in the same room as you, nothing is scarier than waking up hungover the next morning and seeing what you look like in the morning.
The abuse I endure on this podcast. See, this is why I'm taking away bottoms rights. No bottoms rights in 2025. I guess you know what, never mind, we're not a political podcast, so we're gonna keep marching on.
You can pull that dick out of my cold, gay pussy.
Girl, that's just a night at Club Pit for you.
And 5.
Oh shit, you won! We're not even done. He hasn't even left the house and came back yet. God damn it.
They haven't even moved in yet.
Oh my god. Okay, we gotta get this story rolling along. Let's get this shit rolling along.
The Lachances moved into the house over Memorial Day weekend, and all seemed well for the most part. However, they did notice that all of the interior doors had hook and eye latch locks on the out, so those are like the little circles with the hooks.
Yeah.
But they were on the outside of the doors, as if not to lock something out, but to lock something in each of the rooms.
See, but with that, before I think ghosts, I would think of like abuse, some sort of child abuse or something.
As they were unpacking, a car slowed down and the passenger called out, "Hope you get along okay in there," which Stephen cracked up to just being friendly. However, he noticed that all of his neighbors would cross the street rather than walk in front of the house. At one point, he tried to wave, and the neighbors put their head down and hurried away.
Damn, what if the house just had like asbestos or something and they were crossing the street? Or maybe like radiation.
Well,
something that makes people sick. You get the joke. You get what I was getting at.
Oh no, I thought that was a serious theory.
No, it would just be funny, like if like the house like had like some sort of asbestos or radiation or something, and that's why people cross the street.
Later on that weekend, Stephen decided to hang a picture of angels in the living room, whose ceiling was decorated with cherubs.
Okay, period. Okay.
He hung it up, and as he turned away, it fell to the floor. He repeated this twice more, and the third time, as he turned away, he felt a rush of cold air at his back and turned to find the picture laying at his feet.
Okay, that's weird. I don't like that. That don't sit right with me.
On Sunday, the family decided that they were going to clean up the yard, and they were all super excited because they hadn't had a yard in a long time. I mean, at the very least 6 years since the wife left.
See, I get that, because I haven't had a yard in a while either, and I would love nothing more to have a porch to sit on, right? So I get that for sure.
And, I forgot to mention, like, it did have a large porch out front, it had the backyard, it had a mud room.
That would be so nice.
Like, it's a beautiful house, and they're paying, for a 3-bedroom apartment price.
That's crazy.
Stephen asked Elliot to go into the basement to get the hose. Within moments, Elliot came running up the stairs screaming that a monster had chased him up the stairs.
Oh.
Stephen and his other 2 children inspected the basement but found nothing but the abandoned hose. At the end of the weekend, Stephen returned to work and the kids to school. Each day, they would arrive home to find every light on in the house turned on, despite them all being turned off when they left in the morning. On Friday, Stephen made a point of making a thorough inspection of the entire house to make sure every single light was off before leaving, only to come home again to find each and every one turned on.
Again, ghosts acting like they paying the bills. Ghosts will run your electric up.
I wonder, do you think there's bills in the afterlife?
Ooh. There's a lot of people named Bill who have died, so I imagine.
But, in Beetlejuice, how, in Beetlejuice, the joke is made, people who commit suicide are the bureaucrats of the afterlife. And then when the 2 characters get over there, all the people running the office are, suicides.
I've actually never seen Beetlejuice.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. That's why I wanted to see the new one in the theater, but I'm not sure if it's a sequel or not.
It is a sequel.
So I have to watch the first one to understand this one?
Yes. But it's hilarious, so it's a really good movie.
I'll watch it eventually.
Now, while he's running around the house, Eliza called from the living room that the room was freezing, and Stephen entered to find the room 30 degrees colder than the rest of the house.
Bitch, how did she know it was 30 degrees, or did it just feel like that?
It felt like 30 degrees.
Right? I know that bitch ain't no thermometer.
No, he also said, the thermostat on the wall, was, 30 degrees colder than the rest of the house.
I trust that. I trust the thermostat on the wall.
It was at this point that Stephen first felt the presence of something, when he felt an inexplicable electrical current pass through him, causing him to tear up and get goosebumps on his arms. Or as I like to call it, an orgasm.
I'm calling the police.
I can't take credit for that joke. I got that from Sinisterhood.
Oh, shout out Sinisterhood. I love you, girl. Well, yeah, they're cool.
I love Sinisterhood.
No, they're cool. I do listen to them a lot when I'm doing research and things. They do have a lot of good information, and they do very good research.
And they're so funny.
Their intro is really cool. We need to find out who did their intro so we can finally get
a friend intro. Wait, I know the one sang it, but I don't know who composed it.
Yeah. Whoever did it, they did a really good job. They have a really good intro.
Do you think, like, if we emailed them, they would, like, be like, yeah, here's the link?
Maybe. Hey, Sinisterhood, we're hitting you up. Check your inbox.
Now, at that moment, the temperature did begin to return normal. Not only could they feel it, but Stephen also said that he saw on the thermostat that he wasn't going crazy. It did start to climb.
Interesting.
That Sunday, him and the kids were in the living room, sitting around and talking. Stephen was going to have to go on a week-long business trip, and they were going to stay at their grandmother's, and they were just discussing, like, the logistics before he left. While they were talking, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something standing in the kitchen door to the family room. Oh. So the living room, so, like, there was the living room, and then the family room was directly off of it.
Okay.
And then the kitchen was to the back. So
okay, I got you.
So he turned and saw that it was a tall figure of a man made entirely out of black smoke. Thinking that he was hallucinating, he looked away for a good long time and looked back only to realize it was there. And not only was it there, it had moved into the middle of the family room before it slowly disappeared.
See, that's crazy to me, because usually when you see shit like that, you look at it, look away,
and it's gone.
Right, in an instant.
And I mean, he saw it, he turned and looked at it, turned away, had a full conversation for like 2-3 minutes, and turned back, and it had moved.
That's crazy, because...
And then it slowly disappeared, which is so much scarier than it just not being there.
And when you consider, like, the amount of energy it takes for something to manifest just in general, and then it manifests for that long of a period of time, there's something going on there, sister.
Now, the kids had not seen it because they had their back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he, as calmly as possible, said that they were going to go out for sodas and ice cream and then go to Grandma's house.
Oh, I would love to go to, like, a classic 1980s, or whenever they had the soda fountains. Was it the 40s?
Yeah, 40s and 50s.
40s and 50s.
Like a malt shop?
A malt shop, yeah, get into that.
We should go to Clavon's.
That would be well, now I gotta cut that out, because we can't say that on YouTube.
We should go to Clavon's.
Sounds good.
It's a, like, turn-of-the-century ice cream parlor in the Strip District.
Ooh, okay. If you've ever been to Clavon's, comment down below. Tell us what you think. I'm interested. We're gonna go, and we'll let y'all know what we think.
Now, the two, his oldest, thought this was a little weird, but he was like, come on, it will be fun, come on, let's go. I'm serious, let's go. And so as calmly as possible, they left. And as Stephen turned to lock the door, an ear-piercing scream of a man in pain radiated from the house. And I don't mean it sounded like somebody was screaming in the house. The entire house was screaming. Stephen yelled at his children to run for the car, and they all hopped in and drove away. But before they could even turn off the street, Elliot fearfully said from the back seat, "Daddy, why is the basement monster standing in the upstairs window?"
Oh.
Sure enough, in the rearview mirror, Stephen could see the black smoky figure staring out the window, watching them go.
Not the basement monster. It's mobile. Not even Boost Mobile. Oh my god. Okay, but honestly, that gave me chills. That is I can't even imagine, like, my kid being like, why is the basement monster up? Like, that
because Stephen said, until that moment, he didn't put, like, what his son saw together with the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was until, like, that moment. Because, like, kids say, like, I still think there's a monster in my basement, and I'm nearly 28 years old.
Right. But, like, when you actually see that shit...
Yeah.
That's so scary.
That night, they all stayed with Stephen's parents, and the next day, he had to leave for his business trip, which allowed him time to rationalize the entire incident.
Mm-hmm.
So when he returned, him and his kids went back to the house. And he did make it a point of having the kids sleep in his bedroom with him.
Mm-hmm.
For their own protection.
Exactly, yeah.
Although I came up with this when I was a little kid, and I stand by it. When I am scared, I will sleep in somebody else's bed in the hopes that I have a 50% better chance.
Well, you must be scared a lot, because you were in everybody's bed. Because you're a whore. No, I'm kidding.
Well, sometimes you're afraid of a monster, and sometimes you're just afraid of dying alone.
Okay, that was a good one. I'll give that one to you. That was a good one.
Thank you. Sorry, I do like Sauvignon Blanc, but when they talked about the acidity, but that's what makes Sauvignon Blanc a really good cooking wine.
It's the acidity and how shitty it is. You don't want to drink that shit yourself.
Acidity and shitty do rhyme.
They do.
Anyways.
Does it?
On Saturday, Steve and the kids began to go through the shed in the backyard. Inside, they found an assortment of belongings which appeared to belong to different people. Stephen decided that he was going to call Winters to ask about the belongings and also if any other tenants reported ghost sightings. Winters at first said that he never heard of any paranormal experiences. However, he then said the woman who previously lived in the house claimed to have seen her dead father, but he always thought that she was crazy. Many of the belongings in the shed were hers, which she had left, and he could not get her to come back to claim them. He went on to tell Stephen that she had brought it upon herself for living in sin and practicing black magic in the house.
Oh, this is going to be one of those stories.
Yes. And it's just like, what does that mean?
Black magic?
No, living in sin.
I
know, like, the traditional, like, oh, they're living in sin, they're not married, but they're living together, but, like...
Honestly, so many things are sin. Like, it's impossible to live without sin, I feel like.
Oh, it is. We've had this conversation. Although you might have been too drunk to remember it.
Probably, honestly.
We always have our deepest conversations when I'm just a little tipsy and you're...
I'm on another planet.
And you're on another...
feet to the left.
Like...
I get very,
opinionated?
Yeah, firm in my beliefs.
You were very firm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm firm right now. Some would say she's semi-firm. All right.
Okay. He then also told Stephen of another man who moved out of the house in the middle of the night, leaving all of his belongings, and that accounted for the rest of the stuff in the shed. Stephen asked how recently the last tenant lived there, and Winter said not more than a year before the LaChances moved in. Before getting off the phone, Winters told him that there were no ghosts in the house, but instructed him he would be wise to have a priest come and bless the home.
Oh, that's good. Let's get the priest in there and see if that helps.
Yes, but we have this... He keeps saying, no, there's no ghosts, but you should act as if there are.
Yeah, he knows shit that he's not saying, honestly. And we've known that from the beginning.
That night, Stephen had the first nightmare, which repeats itself to this day. In it, he walks down into the basement to find a faceless man washing blood off of himself in the butcher shower by candlelight. He described the entire sound of it was of huffing and puffing and growling, and that was the sound that the presence had, like, that accompanied the presence. Like that... You know, like an animalistic breathing.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's weird.
On Monday night, Stephen was on the phone with his mother while his kids were playing in his bedroom when all the inside doors of the house began rattling. He called to the kids to knock it off, thinking that it was a prank. But Eliza called back that she was sitting there reading and the boys were already asleep. The house suddenly dropped 30 degrees. It was filled with booms and bangs, and the floors shook as the entire house filled with a horrible stench.
Classic. The bad smell. That's a demon.
As Stephen ran for his bedroom, the man screaming again emanated from everywhere in the house, and it sounded as if something huge was bounding down the stairs, and his bedroom door was right at the foot of the stairs. So he was like, how am I going to get to the bedroom door before this thing gets to the bottom? He frantically tried to open the door, which was inexplicably jammed shut as his children screamed inside. As he fought with the door, the screaming continued and soon was joined by the screaming of an unseen child.
Oh, okay. Because, like, a child screaming, that'll pierce your ear, because those whores are loud.
Finally, Stephen got the door to open and ordered his children to run for the car. The screaming and banging continued, and Stephen could feel something chasing him. And when I say he could feel it, he could feel the footsteps behind him.
That's crazy. You can feel something chasing you. That bitch is making footsteps.
Yes, like
it is
the
stomping.
floor was shaking. He could feel it shaking from behind him.
That's scary.
As they got into the car, Stephen could see the black smoke creature methodically going through each room in the house, searching for them.
That's so scary. Oh my god.
So like goosebumps all over when we talk about the black smoke creature standing in the window. But I can just imagine him like seeing it, stopping and looking, and just seeing this black figure. Like you hear about these demonic presences being blacker than black,
right,
darker than dark,
right,
and just seeing this thing go room to room,
just searching for you. That would be so like creepy and scary to see. I can't even imagine.
Steve and his children moved out of the house that very night. Winters initially refused to let the family out of the lease and then relented, but only if Stephen found new tenants to take over the lease. Winters recommended he rent the home instead to his own cousin, and her 2 children. Stephen begged Winters not to rent the home to anyone with children, and Winters initially agreed. But Stephen later found out that Winters had lied and rented it to his cousin and her kids.
Yeah, because one thing about landlords, they're skeezy people. Landlords are very skeezy people.
I have always said that in order to rent, like, I think that there should be some, whether it's a state office or a federal office, that, like, you have to register with them. And you have to be a party to, like, their bylaws to be a landlord.
Yeah.
Because I told you that story of that one woman who I applied for an apartment. And it was like her attic with like a closet converted into a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And she had all these crazy rules, like you cannot use the front door. You have to do an entire physical.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah, and it's like that's just wild. And like there's so many landlords out there like that or who do other crazy shit. I had one friend, and her landlord, he would just show up in her apartment, like, whenever. And he was like, this is my property. I can check it whenever I want. And, like, she came home, and he was, like, rifling through her stuff.
That's crazy. Because, honestly, the landlords do have the key to your place.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the law says they have to give you so much time to, like, before they can get in there. But, like, they still got the key, and if they go in there and you don't catch them...
I've been pretty lucky that I've had some pretty good landlords where they've like, hey, like, I'm going to give you 24 hours notice before I come in or I have somebody come in.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, if there's an emergency, you're just going to have to accept that I'm coming right in. Like, if you tell me, like, a pipe's, like, burst, I'm coming over as soon as I can.
Well,
but
good landlords do that, but then you hear these horror stories of people who, like, shit breaks and it takes maintenance forever to come visit them.
I think I can say this because I'm not going to, like, mention what, like, rental it was and what my landlord's name was. But, like, me and 2 roommates took the rental. We were going to be the first people renting this place. It was a newly renovated place. And the dishwasher didn't work. And he said that before we took possession, he would be getting the dishwasher fixed.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for 3 months before he got it fixed. And we had, first it was like every week, like every 3 weeks we'd be like, hey, like, what about the washer? And then it turned into like every 3 days we were like, hey, dishwasher. And only when we got annoying did he do it.
Yeah, that's how it is sometimes. Like, landlords, that's how they work.
Stephen would only return a handful of times to collect their belongings and never alone. Each person he brought into the house also witnessed the disembodied screams, whispers, bangs, and shaking of the house.
Yeah, because it's not going away.
In 2004, Stephen wrote a post about his haunting on the internet. It got widespread attention, and a photographer actually went to photograph the house and would later introduce Stephen to the current tenants, Linda and Chester Marsh, who lived there with their teen daughter and grandson. Linda was also experiencing things and was happy to compare her experiences with Stephen. Chester, however, was more skeptical and advised the pair to leave it alone and not look into it so as to not make it mad. Stephen and Linda began to do a deep dive into the history of the property. They found that it had been built on land once owned by John Thomas Crow. He was the first captain of the 1st Missouri Militia set up during the Civil War and fought for the Union. Despite this, Crow owned slaves on the property which had been brought by his wife Minerva from Kentucky when they married. It is said that he would use secret tunnels on the property to continue trading slaves after the abolition of slavery.
So there's a lot of trauma on this property, and it was owned by a very shitty person, it sounds like.
Yes, because rumors in Union state that Minerva would force the male slaves to have sex with her, and that Crow systematically murdered all the slaves after the war.
It's giving La Laurie a little bit.
It is also rumored that the slaves brought voodoo to the town and that they practiced it in their quarters, and that Crow made a deal with the devil to secure his later roles as sheriff and judge.
So do you think Crow's that Black Mist?
It honestly might be, because
he sounds like an evil person.
I looked him up, and he is actually a fairly famous person in Missouri history. The Crow family at this time is considered one of the first families of Missouri. His father helped set up the town.
Now, do they have any connection to the Jim Crow laws, or no?
I don't think so, because the Jim Crow was a slur against black people.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Jim Crow is something you would call a black person, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which is why in Dumbo, the 4 crows are considered racist.
Oh. Well, shit. Okay.
I think Jim Crow is a racist caricature.
Well, that all makes sense now, and it's all coming together why this property is so haunted and so fucked up.
No matter what the truth behind the rumors, they did discover the house was built in 1932 on the site of the old slave quarters. And to make matters worse, in 1974, in the house across the street, a woman murdered her husband with an axe before shooting herself. In another house on the street, a man committed suicide also with a gun in front of his nephew.
And those houses, they might have been across the street, but it's probably part of that same property.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Yes.
Because it's probably a huge property.
After this, Stephen and Linda enlisted the help of a local psychic named Betty, who ran paranormal tours of a local mansion. Immediately upon entering the home, Betty was picked up by an unseen force and thrown against the wall. She continued to do her walk through the house and found the spirit of an angry man upstairs, and that a vortex existed in the basement that allowed spirits to come and go as they pleased. She told them to call a priest to bless the house and left, refusing to ever return.
That's crazy. And I know you're going to tell me Zach Baggins was up in this bitch once or twice.
Chester may have been right in cautioning the two not to investigate, because soon the family was plagued by a series of horrific events. The family's kin went missing and was later found brutally murdered inside the house. One night, the police showed up after getting a call about a suicide in the home. Linda was alone and had made no such call.
That's crazy. Not the phantom call.
And do you know what that tells me? This spirit was either going to try and kill Linda and pass it off as a suicide, or was going to get her to commit suicide.
Oh my god, this story is so... I wasn't expecting such a crazy story.
The family and Stephen asked a local priest to come and bless the house, which he did, but it all seemed rushed, as if he wanted to get out of the house as soon as possible. The entire blessing was botched, and soon the spirits began to target Linda physically, and she would be hit, scratched, and bit. Meanwhile, Stephen formed a group called Missouri Paranormal Research to formally investigate the haunting of the house. Through his investigations, he became convinced that they were dealing with a powerful demon.
Damn, he started his own society. He said, Taps, he said, Ghost Adventures who? Let me take this into my own hands.
Chester, always skeptical and weary of the haunting, soon became a full-fledged believer when he woke up to see a black-cloaked and hooded figure standing in their bedroom, watching them sleep. On another occasion, the couple woke up to find a wolf mysteriously and inexplicably in their bedroom before disappearing. And on another occasion, he woke up to see the figure across from him, but heard it whisper in his ear, "I'm here."
Oh.
That fucks me up. Because to see something like across the room at the foot of the bed, but hear it in your ear.
I don't know. That's so weird. There's a lot here not sitting right with me.
Oh, it gets worse. To anyone who has issues with sexual assault, I would skip 30 seconds to a minute. One night, Linda woke up to find the hooded figure sexually assaulting her, an incident which would occur twice more.
After the first one, you would think you would move out. Like, this demon or whatever this is, like
now,
that.
Stephen had somewhere to go. I don't know if the Marshes did.
Okay.
Because it's very... I mean, as people who tell paranormal stories, it's very easy to say, like, move out. Like, as soon as something happens, moves out. But they're, like... the parents in the Conjuring house. They could not.
Right. There are people in situations like that who just can't leave for financial or whatever reason, but I can't even believe that. That's crazy.
It was around this time that Stephen noted that Linda began to change. He noted an evil gleam in her eyes, and they actually started to begin to darken and turn black. During conversations, she would go from fearfully crying, worried about herself and her loved ones, to verbally assaulting and cursing at him. During one conversation, she stated that she was going to kill Chester because he was fucking around on her. That's an actual quote, like, fucking around. Those were her words. A few weeks later, she called to tell Stephen that she tried to kill Chester by stabbing him in their car. When he jumped out of the car and fled on foot, she pursued him in the car and tried to run him over.
So you think she's possessed? I think it sounded like she's possessed by whatever the fuck's in there.
Stephen contacted demonologist John Zaffis, who is the star of the TV show The Haunted Collector, who is also nephew of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who trained him in demonology. I did not know that, and I love The Haunted Collector. I love that show, and I never knew that he was a nephew and trained by the Warrens.
I've never seen the show, so I can't.
It's pretty good. It's very much like Ghost Hunters on Discovery, like Taps, and not Ghost Adventures. Like a little more logical, a little more low-key.
Okay.
John contacted a priest named Father Paul to conduct an exorcism on the house and Linda. Now, Father Paul claimed to be a psychic priest who was able to communicate with the spirits through his gift.
Period. Okay.
Regardless of that claim, before the exorcism could take place, Linda woke up one night feeling ill and inexplicably afraid and called Stephen to take her to the hospital. Upon being admitted, doctors found her blood pressure to be 209 over 195. Normal blood pressure is between 100 over 65 and 120 over 80.
Well, that's not good.
And her pulse was at 40 beats per minute, when a normal pulse is between 60 and 100 beats per minute.
That's crazy.
During intake, she confessed to having both homicidal and suicidal thoughts and was admitted to the behavioral health unit for observation.
Homegirl got fucked up by this demon.
After being released from the hospital, the Marshes moved out of the house and Linda moved in with her daughter. Despite being out, her odd behavior continued. She began to turn her violence away from Chester and towards Stephen. Her daughter told Stephen that she would have drastic mood shifts from sobbing to angrily swearing and ranting. On Halloween night, 2005, Linda showed up at Stephen's front door, pounding and swearing and demanding to be let in. Stephen looked at the peephole to see her hiding something behind her back, and he promptly called the police.
Oh, yeah. Girl, homegirls try to run people over. You call those cops.
She fled before they could arrive, and Stephen called her daughter, who warned him that she had a gun, and later called to say that she had returned to the house and was sitting outside threatening to commit suicide. The daughter was later able to talk Linda down, and Linda was readmitted to a psychiatric care unit. It would take 2 years of therapy and medication to restore Linda to the mental state she had before she lived in the Union, Missouri house.
That's crazy, bitch.
The house still stands, but has been converted into a kennel by the landlord because of the inability to keep tenants.
Not a kennel. So you're going to keep the poor puppies?
Mm-hmm.
No, get the puppies out of there. The puppies ain't got nothing to do with your demon, okay? Keep the puppies away from there.
The Roman Catholic Church did an investigation and issued a 156-page report labeling the house as demonically infested. To remind you, infestation is the first stage of full-fledged possession.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen would go on to write a book about his experiences called The Uninvited and continues to work in the paranormal field to this day. He also recounted his experiences in the TV show A Haunting in Season 1, Episode 1 called Fear House.
I might have seen that. I don't know. It sounds familiar.
Now, I do want to make a note here that in that book, Stephen changed many of the names of the characters. His children were called Lydia, Michael, and Matthew. Linda was called Helen. Chester was called Charlie. But I have gone through and I have endeavored to use their real names. The only person whose real name I did not use was Carl Winters.
Okay.
The true owner of the house is an unnamed eccentric landlady. I could not find her name anywhere, so I just decided to go with the name in the book of Carl Winters.
No matter how much you wanted to out her, DJ loves doxing people on the pod.
Steven's very open, that he changed the names in an effort to distance himself from the house.
Mm-hmm.
But simple internet search and I found them all.
He said, "Got him."
I did, and Centerstone couldn't find Helen's real name, but I did because
you said those bitches ain't got nothing
because
on me.
Steven had a WordPress site, and it's the official website of the house, and there's a dedication page, and I was like, who's it dedicated to? And I was like, who the fuck is Linda Marsh? And then I was like, and there was the woman who lived in the house who da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my god, it's Helen March from the book. Because Sinister had used all the book names.
Yeah.
And I thought about...
But we're going to give you the real story.
Initially, I was going to use the book names and then do it at the end. And then I was like, that's going to be too confusing. I'd rather just do a note at the end. Because I'm sure other podcasts out there probably do use the book names.
Yeah, we're going to keep it simple for the kids. We're going to give you guys the real story.
Now, Paul, do you have any thoughts before?
This is a crazy fucking story, girl. I had never heard about this house before this. I didn't know what to expect. But this is a really good story. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Thank you. I know last week, or not last week, but my last episode was something a little different. We loved it,
yeah.
Evita. But after that, I wanted to just come back to our roots and do a classic haunted house.
I want to go see this house. I want to see what's going on and going down.
You can't because I don't know the address for it.
God damn it. Come on, Steven.
The only address I could find for it was 809 North Christina Street in Union, Missouri. But I looked it up, and 809 North Christina Street in Union, Missouri is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house.
Well, we're going to find it. And trust and believe, we're going to be at that house. And we're coming for you, bitches. We're coming for you, demon. Trust and believe, we're coming.
Now, Paul, I have a question for you.
What?
Smash or pass me because I was able to make you laugh 5 times this episode.
Pass. We're passing.
Really?
What? Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Really?
Talking like a child doesn't make it any better.
That was... Okay. Paul, where can they find you? Unless you have anything out, where can they find you when you're at home?
Do I have anything to add? Hold on, let me think if I have it. I'm surprised Zach Baggins didn't go and see this house, but if we can't find the address, he probably can't either. I want to go to this place so bad and see what's going down.
Yes, because we obviously have a landlady who's very adamant about, and like Stephen did write in one of his posts, that the entire town of Union knows about this house.
Right, and they're keeping it a secret. It's like the Hannah Montana movie.
Jesus. Okay.
And that's all the thoughts I have. And I'm probably going to end up doing more research because I'm very interested in this house now in Trust and Believe. Like I said 7 times already, I'm going to be at that house.
But you do know, even
day.
if you can find it, we're not going to be able to go in it.
Yeah, legally.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, where can they find you?
That was a joke. We wouldn't illegally enter anyone's household. Legally.
All right. Well, everyone, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us. Text us. All of our social media is below in the description. And once you go there, you can go to our link tree and follow us everywhere else. Paul, where can they find you when you're at home?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, guys, it's not delivery. Well, tonight I guess it'll be delivery since I lost.
I'm still going to cook for you.
We'll see.
Not lasagna, but I'll still cook. If you'd like to follow me, please do. You can follow me on my personal Instagram and TikTok at TheRealDeechPowers. And here at Crips and Corks, we are an entertainment podcast, and it's meant to be an escape from the horrors of the real world. But we like to take a minute at the close of our episodes to do our part to make the world a better place. With Donald Trump's election and his long-standing friendship with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the genocide in Palestine is bound to only get worse. If you'd like to contribute some aid to children who are the most innocent and who are being affected and hurt the most, please go to www.unicef.org. His election also has far-reaching consequences for many people here in the United States. We really advocate for donating to the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU. They first fought the President Trump's first administration over 430 times over unfair policies in court and in political races. They're already preparing to fight for abortion and women's health care, trans people's right to live, and people's right to vote. And you can donate or volunteer at www.aclu.org. And lastly, Paul and I are both out and proud members of the LGBT community. Our rights to live openly, to marry, to adopt, to get free housing and employment are all being threatened by the incoming administration. If you'd like to help LGBTQ people here in the United States, you can go to the Human Rights Campaign, who have fought and will continue to fight for our rights, at www.hrc.org.
Wow, I can't believe you outed me on the pod.
Oh my God, it's so shocking.
Wow, I wasn't ready. No, I'm kidding.
And I think that's all she wrote. So until next time, guys, keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose. Bye.